Howdy, gang, and welcome back to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me for another edition of the Paizo Preview. Today, I'm going to take a look at the three major releases for Pathfinder and Starfinder for February 2023 from our friends over at Paizo Inc. But before I dive in, I do want to mention that there is a fantastic Humble Bundle that is currently going on, which features just a ton of Pathfinder 2nd Edition role-playing goodness. I mean, it is packed. It's got the core rulebook, Bestiary, Lost Omens releases, adventures, as well as the Abomination Vault's adventure path for Foundry. And to my knowledge, I think this is the first time that Paizo Inc. has actually included a Pathfinder AP for virtual tabletop in one of its bundles. Like I said, this is just packed with goodies. Now, this bundle was supposed to end, it was either yesterday or the day before, but it has been extended through March 2nd. And you can get your hands on everything included in this bundle for a donation of $25 or more. Now, there are different levels of donations for fewer items, but you can get everything. And I'm telling you, this is jam-packed for a donation of $25 or more. Tell people all the time, if you're looking to get started with Pathfinder 2nd Edition, always keep your eyes peeled for these humble bundles that pop up from time to time, because you can get years of adventuring for less than the cost of a single core rulebook for a role-playing game. And I'm not talking about just Pathfinder core rulebooks. I'm talking about nearly every core rulebook out there for the major role-playing games. It is that good a deal. And to be honest, I think this is the best humble bundle I've seen for Pathfinder yet. So don't miss out. All right, so the first item I'm going to be taking a look at today is Pathfinder Treasure Vault. It is written by Michael Sayer, Mark Seifter, and Kendra Lee Speedling. This 224-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $54.99. There's also a pocket edition, carries an MSRP of $26.99. Or you can just grab the PDF for $19.99. So here I've got Treasure Vault. Do want to mention we're going to take a quick peek inside Treasure Vault, because I am actually going to feature this book with a in-depth first look and page through on my Tuesday edition of the Gaming Gang Dispatch. It is my live stream that airs on YouTube Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central. So February 28th, I will get far more in depth with Treasure Vault. So hopefully you'll tune in and give it a peek. But we are going to take a look inside for the preview this month. So first off, let's start with the back. Venture into the vault. Pathfinder Treasure Vault reveals the glittering hoard of a terrifying dragon as presented by the creature's plucky kobold assistant. Yeah, plucky kobold assistant, eh? This 224-page hardcover rulebook presents a catalog of new gear from nearly every category of equipment and magic item available in the Pathfinder role-playing game, while introducing entirely new categories of items. Give your character the perfect tool for the job with signature weapons, customizable relics, and wondrous items that fit your every need, while preparing for any eventuality with potions, elixirs, wands, and more. Take a peek inside. So, first of all, we do have a lot of additional authors and plenty of artists here as well. A lot of people were involved in the production of Treasure Vault, so I want to make sure these folks get some credit. Looks like we've got an introduction, then we've got chapters Armor and Armaments, Alchemy Unleashed, Momentary Magic, Trappings of Power, Secrets of Crafting. We get a Game Master's Trove, and then we wrap up with treasure tables, as well as a glossary and index. Let's peek at this introduction. Welcome to the Treasure Vault. Within the pages of this mighty tome, you'll receive a guided tour through the vaults of the mighty underworld dragon, Volashinaz. I will say Volashinaz, mistress of the vault. Deep beneath the surface of the eastern continent of Tianzia, Volashinaz curates a 1,000-chambered series of vaults packed with treasures collected from across the length and breadth of Galarian, as well as planes beyond. This must be our plucky kobold assistant. Does the plucky kobold assistant have a name? Well, here we have the kobold. It says the current steward of Volashinaz's vaults is the precocious kobold Purpurin. There you go. That's Purpurin. I have to say, I always like the character design for the Pathfinder kobolds and goblins, but I really do like the kobolds a lot. And for some strange reason, I always think of newts when I look at them. Right, so we're going to have armor and armaments. So it looks like we've got this broken down into armor property runes, specific magic armor, shields, specific magic shields, weapons, weapon runes, and specific magic weapons. Looks like we might have close to 30 pages devoted to this. Now, there are supposed to be over 600 items that are included in Treasure Vault. So that is going to give you an opportunity for a lot of cool gear and magic items. Crackling bubble gum. Okay, so this is Alchemy Unleashed. So it looks like here we're going to have ammunition, bombs, foods. That's what we're looking at here. Tools, bottled monstrosities, elixirs, and permanent alchemical items. Oh, as well as poisons. There's our bottled monstrosities. So something I like to point out to people that kind of sets Pathfinder 2nd Edition apart from, say, 5e D&D. I mean, and there are a lot of things that set it apart. But one of the things is that the player characters, as far as balance goes, they're supposed to have a lot of items. They're supposed to have a lot of magic items and extra goodies. And I feel that your players tend to feel like their characters are a bit more powerful than you would see in 5e D&D, because you're going to have a lot more gear, a lot more items, and your players will never feel cheated. If you look at the adventure paths, there's always a lot of goodies to be found, because that's one of the things that are kind of built into the balancing of Pathfinder adventures. So we had momentary magic. This is trappings of power. So we've got worn items. So we've got backpacks. It's like bracers, capes, robes, masks. Looks like we've got quite a few different masks. We have a crafting section here. I think there are new crafting rules. There we go, complex crafting. So we've got alternate rules. There we go. I thought that was something that was included in here. We also have our Game Master's Trove. Ooh, cursed and intelligent items. Got relics. We're going to wrap up with our treasure tables. Here we go. And then our glossary and index. Looks like we've got a lot of treasure tables here. And it's broken down by level. Got our open game license and an ad for Dark Archive. So that is Treasure Vault. And once again, as I mentioned, we'll go into a deeper dive with Pathfinder Treasure Vault on this coming Tuesday's edition of the Gaming Gang Dispatch. Next up, we're going to take a peek at Pathfinder Adventure Path 188. They watched the stars. It is written by Jason Keeley. This, I think it's going to clock in at about 96 pages. Carries an MSRP of $26.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone for $19.99. So here we've got the adventure. I reviewed the first chapter in the Gatewalkers adventure path, and I liked it. I thought it was pretty unusual. It's a little gonzo, not a lot gonzo, but it does have a cool kind of science fantasy vibe through most of that adventure. So there's our big bad. I want to point out, we're going to be taking a look at a couple of adventures here. So if you are a player hoping that your game master is going to run Gatewalkers or are in the midst of running Gatewalkers, I'm going to stay away from spoilers because I haven't even peeked at this. I haven't cracked this open yet. But there's going to be some spoilers because you're going to see stuff as we take a peek in here. So you might want to tune out. All right. So this is going to be the major NPC that the player characters are going to be working with through this chapter. They were introduced to her right at the end of the first part. So we have the covers, the interior and the back cover have like clues. That's what I had noticed in the first chapter. Usually we'll see, encounter maps and that, but it was actually evidence. In fact, right there, it marks that it's evidence. Let's see what we've got going on here. So let's go do a little synopsis here. Once again, here there be spoilers. You've been warned. We're not going to look at each and every page, don't worry, but give you a good feel for what's going on here. In this adventure, the characters meet the seer Sakuachi, whose epic quest is the party's primary focus for nearly the rest of this campaign. At first blush, it may seem odd for a non-player character to have such a prominent role in the adventure path. After all, aren't your players supposed to be the heroes? I'm really glad that they mentioned that. It's kind of cool that they tossed that out there. The answer is, of course, yes. The character's importance to Sakuachi's story becomes apparent enough in the next volume, Dreamers of the Nameless Spires, when the characters finally remember their missing memories, specifically that they themselves were the ones who kidnapped I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Imperiled Sakuachi's community and ultimately prompted her quest. Oh, there you go. It's all spoiled now. Until this revelation comes to light, however, some players might feel like they're playing second fiddle. You can assuage such concerns by injecting opportunities to show off their character's brawn, skill, or magic, all things that Sakuachi, though formidable in her own way, lacks. Find ways to remind your party that without them, Sakuachi's quest would have already failed. Finally, it's worth remembering that Sakuachi's quest is the character's best hope for learning the truth behind the missing moment and recovering their lost memories. I'm not going to rehash everything from that first Adventure Path chapter, but the player characters they've been exposed to what's being known as the missing moment. So there are these various different gates located around Golarion, and at this one point in time, a bunch of different people just got up and walked through these gates and disappeared, and some never returned. Others did. Some returned just a few hours later. Some returned a few days later. They've all been changed, and they don't have any memory of what took place once they stepped through those gates. So the time that they spent on the other side of these gates, they have no memory of, and that's what's being referred to as the missing moment. So the player characters in the first chapter found themselves on an alien world. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And in that chapter, there was actually a lot of information if you wanted to kind of continue to have more adventuring on that alien world. before the player characters would return to Golarion. So, of course, as with all adventure paths for Pathfinder, we see, well, I shouldn't say all, but it's usually that we see 3 chapters within the adventures, but this one has 4, I noticed. That's a little different. Just kind of taking a quick peek on through. So the player characters are trying to find out what took place, what happened during this missing moment. And they have been introduced to Sakawachi because she can help them learn more about what happened, and she's trying to track down this ancient being, which you already saw in the back of the cover, is this floating whale. All right, so we've got the lake. So it's the Lake of Mists and Veils. So we're going to get more information about that. That's kind of a cool image there. That's a pretty big crawfish. Talking about the cryptids in the lake denizens. So it looks like we get a good amount of detail about that lake. And then we get our adventure toolbox, where we'll have some new equipment, some new magic items, some new spells usually. This is where we're going to get stat blocks for some new monsters. So we have a new archetype, Scions of Demora. So we've got that. We usually get a new background or archetype with a lot of the adventure paths. So here is our little bestiary with a few new creatures in it. We have spirit guides, spirit guide companions. That'd be cool. All right, then we wrap up with the open game license, and then we've got Book of the Dead, very, very cool supplement for Pathfinder, and Dark Archive as well. So I want to point out that this adventure path does utilize some of the content from Dark Archive. So do you want to point that out? So that is They Watched the Stars, which is Chapter 2 in the 3-part Gatewalkers Adventure Path. I will have a review of They Watched the Stars in the very near future. So lastly, we are going to be taking a look at the Starfinder Adventure Path number 50. That's the big 5-0. It is Clockwork Demons. Now, this is the second chapter in the Drift Hackers Adventure Path, which is part of the Drift Crisis that is going on, which I want to say will include 2 adventure paths of 3 chapters each. This is that second part of it. So this is written by Quinn Murphy. This 64-page softcover carries an MSRP of $24.99, or you can grab the PDF for $19.99. So we'll swing on over, and here I've got Clockwork Demons. So I do want to point out that Sammy Uhas is reviewing this adventure path. She reviewed the first chapter. In fact, she reviewed the first 3 adventures from that other adventure path, which is kind of making up the Drift Crisis. So she gave that first chapter a very positive review score for it as well. So in fact, she's really liked all of this whole Drift Crisis kind of overarching adventure. Tick-tock. The Drift Crisis brings a group of heroes together to meet the leaders of the fractured Church of Triune in a clockwork museum. All sides agree that to undo the damage of the ongoing crisis, they must first oust heretical interlopers within the church. The situation escalates when the Clockworks animates at the behest of the ongoing corruption, and it's up to the heroes to fight their way through to confront the guardians of Triune's most holy computer. go. Starfinder, this Starfinder Adventure Path volume continues the Drift Hackers Adventure Path and includes, and then it goes on to tell us what it includes, but we're going to take a peek anyway. So what we normally will find when we're taking a look at Starfinder Adventure Paths is a new ship. So we usually have stats for a new ship, and then on the back cover, we'll have the layout of the ship itself. So we'll have the interior of the ship, and this is the Apollos Bright Gear. So that is our new ship here. So we're going to jump into Clockwork Demons. It says for our background here, we're not going to take a look at all of it, but it says, well, most drift-capable civilizations have heard tales of Alluvion, the floating city within the drift that serves as Triune's domain. Very few people outside of the Church of Triune have ever visited it. Even fewer still know of Alluvion's history. At the seat of the god of artificial intelligence and computers, Alluvion is always looking toward the future, so its citizens dwell little on its past. However, records of the city's centuries of existence are held within the databases of the Array, vast collection of servers in Alluvion just outside of the temple known as the Nexus. So we've got our breakdown. So here we'll have 3 chapters to this adventure. Taking a peek on through. I'll be the first to point out I am not overly familiar with the first chapter of this adventure path. I know that the player characters are in the midst of the drift crisis, which has broken down how the denizens of the galaxy travel. So their way of traveling has been disrupted. That's what the drift crisis is all about. And I believe this adventure path is going to kind of conclude the whole drift crisis storyline. So it looks like the player characters are going to have to infiltrate this church. So we've got chapter 3, Through the Source. So strangely enough, it doesn't seem like we're getting kind of synopsises or synopses, I guess we would say, of the goings on for each of these chapters. Just looks like it just kind of picked up. So I saw where it had chapter 3. It says, here's chapter 3, Through the Source. And then it's like, oh, characters need to succeed at. I was like, well, wait a second. Isn't there a little synopsis? Maybe that was up front. So we're going to get a bunch of info about the Church of Triune. Or maybe it's Triune. And of course, we're going to have our adventure toolbox, which is going to give us some new gear. Might even give us some new archetypes. We'll find out. Of course, here we have bestiary. So we've got a clockwork predator and swarm, the Mew clock, a data corrupted creature. Usually we'll have stat blocks for an important NPC as well, but it doesn't look like that's the case here. And then something else we'll normally see in each adventure path is a breakdown of a new planet. So for the Codex of Worlds. So it says next month, into the Dataverse, the heroes insert their consciousnesses into a digital realm that represents all the information about the galaxy collected by the goddess Triune, including the code that controls the drift. There they fight against the poison code within to restore Triune and the Drift to normal and help end the root cause of the Drift crisis. So this adventure is not for starting characters, I don't believe. Here we go, 9th level. So I wanted to point that out, that this is for 9th level. I think in the first part of this adventure path, I think it was designed for characters like levels 6 or 7. So it, like I said, it picked up from the first 3-chapter AP that's taking place during the Drift crisis. So that is Clockwork Demons by Quinn Murphy. Once again, this softcover carries an MSRP of $24.99, or you can grab the PDF for $19.99. And Sammy Uhas will have a review of Clockwork Demons in the very near future. So I should point out that there is also a classic flip mat, which is available this month. I did not receive it. Normally, the reprints of things I don't receive. So I don't have the classic flip mat. I think it's the Winter Forest is what that release is. So in all honesty, there are 4 releases for Pathfinder and Starfinder this month. I just do not have the flip mat to share with you. All right, that is it for this time out. Of course, be sure to join me in March when I share with you all the new Pathfinder and Starfinder releases from Paizo Inc. Then, I believe they are a late month release, something like 27th or 29th. So pretty late in the month is when we are going to see those March releases. All right. So if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ding that bell, because it will not only inform you when I upload original videos, such as this Paizo preview, it'll also let you know when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. Thanks very much for taking time out to watch the video, and until I see you next time, here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
Oh, hey, you're still here. That's okay. You don't have to leave just yet. In fact, why don't you subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel right here, or take a peek at the latest live stream, or even find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks again for watching.